Hello, friends. Hello. Happy Tuesday. Welcome to Craft Your Joy Live. I'm Lisa Hetrick, and I'm super excited to be here with you today for a fun paper crafting tutorial. And we are continuing our exploration. Oops, let's turn that off. We are continuing our exploration. It's always some little techie issue, right? We are continuing our exploration of watercolor crayons. Today, as promised, I'm going to share watercolor sticks with you, specifically the Daniel Smith watercolor sticks, and that's what we're going to use for our watercoloring. And we're going to play around. I have an idea in my head. I haven't executed it yet, so it may not work, but we'll see. So I see everybody popping in. Hello, everyone. Hi, Jean. Jean shared about orange poppies in her front yard. So on Thursday, friends, Thursday's tutorial is at 11:30 as well. And we will be painting a blooming poppy with watercolor crayons. Specifically, we're going to use these Daniel Smith. And we are going to have a guest in that little class. So, hi Cherie, good morning. Okay, let's go ahead. Let's get started. Here is the inspiration for today's card project. And today we're supposed to have like an upper 70-degree day. So later this afternoon, I'm going to get a nice long walk in. It's just gorgeous out. You know, we're in fake spring, so I need to take advantage of fake spring as much as possible. But this card was kind of giving me some inspiration for creating playing with some oranges and yellows and just kind of playing around and making this citrusy looking card. So that's what we're going to do today. That's our inspiration. But first, let's dive in a little bit and talk about, hi Daisy. Windows open. Oh, I've had the windows open for days and it's been lovely. I closed them right before I went live because they're working on some stuff outside. So, and it's really, really loud. So, hello everyone. We have more friends popping in. Okay. I wanted to talk about the Daniel Smith. Last week we talked about the Caran d'Ache watercolor sticks and we did 2 tutorials with them. Super, super fun. Today, and as promised, I said I would share the Daniel Smith watercolor sticks. So I have several of this watercolor sticks, and they're in these little cases. These cases come apart too, so you could have them loose, but it's a really, really nice way to keep them because you can use them inside of the little case. I did link the watercolor sticks that are available at Dick Blick down below in the description. And I did link pretty much everything up that I was going to be using today if you're curious about more. But we are going to talk about these more and use them on Thursday as well. So I wanted to show you the range of colors. So what's lovely about these sticks is that they are the Daniel Smith formulation of pigments. So they're actually really, really beautiful, really, really vibrant, but they work like a stick. So you can paint with them like a stick. So I'm going to move some of these over to the side. These are all the colors I have. Oh, that's so nice, Cheryl. Hello, hello. So these are all the colors that I have in Daniel Smith sticks. And really these would be, if this is all you had, this is really all you would need. You could mix up so many different colors. But what I really, really like about these sticks is that they're so vibrant. So here's quinacridone sienna. Look at that color, how vibrant that is. I think we're going to use that today to do our oranges. We're going to do a mixture of some watercoloring and some stenciling because in my head, geeking out here a little bit, I think it's going to work, but we'll see. Hello, Tanya. So the sticks come, they do have wrappers around them. I took the wrapper off because I was playing with them and using them, and because they were in here, I just took the wrappers off. So they work very much like a crayon. You can see, I would say, now the paper that I grabbed today that I'm using today is not our 100% cotton that I normally use. I grabbed a paper with a little bit more texture so that we could see the color. So this is a, what is this? This is a Fabriano watercolor paper, and it is not 100% cotton, but that's okay. That's okay. So I wanted to show you. So I put this on here and I'm going to run my finger over it. Now, when we use the Caran d'Ache watercolor crayons, when I ran my finger over it, it kind of wanted to blend. It was more like an oil pastel. These are strictly straight up, very much like just watercolor pigment in a stick, but you can break down the color. You can see that that pigment in that textured paper just kind of buried itself in the craggles of the paper, but you can easily run your brush over it and blend that out. But look at that color. It's really vibrant and juicy. Now, how is this different from the watercolor crayons we used last week? It's different in that there's a lot more transparency in this particular brand. You can see it's very transparent, like right out of the gate. Where when we used the Caran d'Ache, it was a little more opacity. It felt a lot more creamy. And this is a lot less creamy, and also more like, it's with the Caran d'Ache, when I'm working with the paper, it feels very creamy. There's very little friction. There's a little bit of pigment that's popping off here. There's a little friction when you're using this. So I feel like with these watercolor sticks, the strength is, yes, you can absolutely use them like in a drawing kind of situation. But I feel that their strength is using them not necessarily direct to paper, and that's where we're gonna try to experiment with today. But look at that color, so vibrant, true to the way Daniel Smith watercolors are. They're very, very vibrant. Cheryl, great question. How are they different to the pan or the tube? So they aren't different at all, and the only difference is that they're in a stick. So mixed media artists or people who really like to draw or do extra textures and dimensions and things like that with the stick format, it's also portable in nature. So, but I have found it is the same formulation. So see how you get a lot of texture that's left behind, and I'm really going to work at it to try to get that. So that's just a technique to have that ability to use something like this in a stick format. The other thing that's really fun about it is that you can just use it right in here like a paint, very much like you would exactly like you would a tube paint or a pan paint. So I would say if you are curious about these colors, if you're curious and you want to experiment a little bit with the Daniel Smith watercolor sticks, they do sell them like loose, like in onesies, twosies, and they do sell them in sets. So you could just grab like one color and use that for your experimenting. So it's just a different kind of medium. So today here's how we're going to use them today. In my brain, it's going to work, so we're going to try it. I want to use that quinacridone sienna, and I'm going to dip it. Here's the other thing. You can dip it in water. So if I dipped it in water, see how I can color with it? So kind of fun, just a different kind of medium. And you can leave those little craggly bits of texture that are getting picked up in the paper. So I did intentionally choose this paper today so that we could have a little bit more texture. So I've got this idea. Here is the stamp. I'm using the La Dolce Vita stamp set. We're going to use this juicy orange, lime, lemon illustration. And we're going to create that card. But I'm going to see about using the sticks. You can dip the stick in water, and I'm going to color my stamp with it. I didn't think it would work, to be honest. I'm just dipping in, and I'm going to color my stamp with it. And then, I meant to get the green out. So now we're just diving into it. Tanya just shared that you love the craggly bits. I do too. I think that's what makes it a little bit fun to just kind of play with different mediums and just see what you get. All right, this could be an epic fail, or it could be a really, really fun thing to do. Let's see. This is pretty, I've got a lot of water going here. See how wet it is? I don't want this to be so wet. So I'm gonna just we're gonna do this 3 times. I do need it to be sort of wet. I'm just gonna stamp it down and see what I get. I don't know. Could be a wild card. Ooh, looky. All right. Not bad. I'm gonna grab my, I've got some round brushes here. I have a 3, a 6, and an 8. And I'm just gonna use what's here and start dancing the brush and moving that color around. Eek! Let's clean off my brush before I get over here into the green. And just use what's here. So I basically use these watercolor crayons as a stamp ink. And you've all seen me do this before, but I wanted to do it again. I wanted to try it today to see how I felt about it. All right, I need to clear myself some space here. I got a lot of bits sitting around. Let's move that over. Let's put that right down there so you all can see. Okay. Now, we'll come back. It's okay. I like it. We're just gonna use what's here. And just paint the color. Just use what's here and let that quinacridone orange is what we used. Quinacridone sienna, actually. So it's more of like a burnt orangey color. Kind of digging it. All right, like that. Don't love the green. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to take the green and I'm going to mix some 2 colors together. So see how I ended up getting a little bit, dip this in a little bit of water, and I kind of can just put some down here on my palette. Oops. I'm going to take a little bit of this, the sienna, and mix those 2 colors together to get a little bit of a more natural green. So let's take a look at that green. Yikes, look at that. Love that. Okay, let's review. The color that I used, what's the green that I used? Spring green, right here. So these little labels came from the the wrapper that was around it. So this one, I'm going to take a little bit of this green in here. And then just kind of, now I'm not using 100% cotton paper today. I'm using this is a cellulose paper. So what that means is that you've got the wood pulp. The wood pulp is compressed and smashed down into making the cellulose paper, where 100% cotton is like the 100% cotton paper. The cellulose paper can sometimes be more difficult to work with. I'm just putting a little bit of that quinacridone burnt sienna down. Can sometimes be difficult to work with when you're doing like washy kind of things. But because we were doing stamping today, and I wanted some of that texture in the paper to be more pronounced, I decided to grab it and said, let's do it. Let's play with it. Got quite a little mess going on with these two. All right. Now, let's let it be. See how I kind of went outside the lines a little bit, but that's okay. Take a little bit of this color and just kind of drop it in. So you can see exactly how the cellulose paper works with the wet into wet. See how it was, I dropped that in and there wasn't really any movement happening with the color. It's because with the cellulose paper or papers like Canson, this Fabriano paper that I'm using, they tend to be a lesser expensive paper. The back of it tends to be, you can see the texture on the back of it usually, or it'll be smooth. It'll be textured on one side and smooth on the other. That's a good indicator that it's not 100% cotton if the packaging doesn't say so. So I'm just going to so see how I have to kind of dance that color around a little bit to make it move. To make it move. Okay, loving this. Pretty intense amount of color. Kind of like it. Kind of like it. All right, let's do another one. We're going to do 3. And then my idea is that we're going to come back in and do maybe a little bit of stenciling. I don't know. But we did a little bit of color mixing. Today it's just going to be a little bit messy because we're experimenting together. So, oh, look. So here's the thing, too. Super, super wet. This is messy. And that's okay. That's okay. So I would say that I gravitate towards these sticks when it comes to knowing that I want to use Daniel Smith color. I want to kind of play around with them in a messy way. So that's when I would kind of gravitate towards them. Let's go ahead and stamp this down. But I do absolutely love using the sticks for stamping as a stamping medium. And I've done this before with watercolor pencils and, oh, look at that. See, it wasn't wet enough. So that's no good. That's a no bueno right there. So let's do it again. It wasn't wet enough, which happens. It could be too wet or not wet enough. I was being a little bit sensitive or shy to getting that color on there. You can turn it to the light and see it's kind of super wet now. All right, let's stamp it down. Let's see what we get. Let's put that right there. See how I'm not putting any pressure? Just going to do a quick tap. Quick tap, tap, tap. Tap, 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 tap. Okay. Oh, that's ultra messy. I knew it was going to be ultra messy. All right, we're going to do a do-over. I need another tissue to clean off my mess. So let's clean off. You know, friends, I said I wasn't sure if this idea was going to work. It works, but you're playing with it. I'm going to clean this off. I should have cleaned it off really well in between so I could have seen what I was working with. So, here we go. Let's do it again. Messy, messy. Try again. Okay. It's wet. So not so bad. I can see the color. Let's go ahead and just add a little bit of that. All right. Let's stamp down here. We're going to end up cutting these out anyway. All right, better. Oops, not fantastic, but better. And again, today is all about experimenting together. Okay, so I'm going to start in with the green. I'm going to give that a little bit of time to kind of exist. Start in with the green and just kind of work with what's here. Now, this would also have an entirely different kind of look if I would have used 100% cotton paper. It would have been a little bit more washy, but you can see I can blend this out. So that's lovely, like that. Okay. So I'm going to come around here, just kind of blend a little bit there. Come in here. And just start using the little bits of craggly bits of color that are here and blend them down to the bottom. Digging that. Liking that one. So it's got a little bit of a washy look. We are definitely experimenting with this medium and kind of in a little bit of an artful way. I'm going to pick up some of that color. See how it dried? So I put a little bit on my my glass mat and it dried. Now you can see that the color, it's wet into wet. Brush is wet. Paper's wet. All right, digging it. Kind of liking it. It's a little bit lighter than that one. All right, gonna do one more. We'll plunk that down right there. I've got quite the little mess here. Gonna do one more. Thought about doing it in yellow. I think I'm gonna keep it in this color range. Let's go ahead and clean off the stamp again so I can see what I'm doing. Again, this is a little bit of a messy technique, but the effects are, you know, going to be different than it would be if you just used stamp ink. So it's kind of wet. Let me dip that in, run it around a little bit, coloring it right on here. I could always dab some of it off if I wanted to. Let's take a little bit of that green. I feel like, you know, with your supplies, if you're trying something new, you really just kind of want to push it a little bit and see what you can get, right? Now, we could have done this same technique with the watercolor, with the Caran d'Ache ones. But we did something a little bit different. Look at all that. Got all that pigment on my finger. Oh, that one's interesting because some of the green came in. And there's quite a bit of lovely color here. So let's see what we got. Let's go ahead in and just work with what's here. Ooh, that's different. That green in that bottom is different. Let's go ahead, just adding a little bit of water, wet into dry. The paper is predominantly dry. Take a little bit of this color and drop it in to get our like neutrally like color back. Let's turn this way so we can see. It's messy. This is a little messy. I'm digging it. Eleanor, hello. Question, are these crayons similar to the Tim Holtz Distress Watercolor crayons? Yeah, we talked about those last week. So these are different. These are pure pigment, Daniel Smith pigment. They're similar in nature in that you can do the same techniques with those crayons. The same techniques that we're doing today. You can dip them in water. You can direct a paper paint them. Ooh, that one's just really interesting. So yeah, I would say the only difference is that it's just a different brand. It's a different medium. Those have the distress crayon watercolor crayons have pigment in them. They also have wax in them, which makes them very crayony and very similar to the Caran d'Ache ones that we used last week. These are more like watercolor sticks. It's pure pigment inside of a stick. So that's the only difference. But the techniques you can absolutely do. I'm going to drop a little bit of that right there, just to get a little bit of that orangey color. Pull some of it out. It's kind of cool. This one's got a little bit, definitely has a little bit more of a washy watercolor vibe going to it, going on. I kind of dig it. So if you have watercolor crayons of some sort in your stash, drop it in the chat. We talked a lot last week about different brands that are out there. This month I was just sharing the brands that I own, which were Daniel Smith, Caran d'Ache we used last week, and I'll use the Inktense ones as well. The Inktense. So this one's definitely like super messy. Now, could have easily used a stamp ink and then stamped all of those, stamped all of our oranges down with the stamping ink and got, you know, a different kind of look. Just used our watercolor medium. Got a different color vibe to it. Tanya, you have the Tim Holtz. Yeah, you can do all of these techniques with the Tim Holtz brand. You don't, I think it's just kind of important to use what you have. And then, you know, hopefully these tutorials help you get them out and experiment with them. All right. I'm going to dry these, then we're going to trim them out. I was going to die cut them, but I'm going to cut them by hand. Let's go ahead and dry them. And see what we got. We got different varying degrees of washy watercolory looks to them. Now, I had in my head, first of all, let me put some of my sticks back because so I don't get them all over my hands and stuff. Because, you know, look, it's messy. And we got quite the little mess over here, which is fine. I don't mind the mess too much. Let's go ahead and wipe this out. Ooh, no crayons but Tim's pencils. Nice. Those are lovely pencils too. Lovely, lovely. Okay. Let's go ahead. I am going to have an idea. Again, we're experimenting. So the coordinating coloring stencil, we have the inner parts for the stencil. Now I had just, oh, I just said that, and I realized I didn't even bring the ink. I need to grab the marigold ink, so let me grab it. Hey. Or I'll grab the wild dandelion. And I need to unlock the door for pest control. Hold on. Hey, Neil. Yeah. Oh, well, come in the front door. I'm on a teaching. Okay, you're good. Okay, friends. Interruption. That's okay. We're going to come in. I need to do something really, really quickly. Sorry for the interruption. Hi, Neil.
Hey. I figured you were busy.
That's okay. That's okay.
How you been?
Good.
Awesome.
Good.
Working hard, hardly working.
Working hard. Okay. Okay, friends, stand by for 2 seconds. Okay, sorry about that. We're going to get back to taking the wild dandelion. Let's go ahead and layer a little bit of this color over top of the watercolor that we did and just see if we like that. I kind of like that. Now I could have achieved that with adding a little bit more watercolor, but we have this coordinating stencil, so why not use it? Okay. To kind of deepen that color a little bit. I like it. It's kind of making this one look not so good. Let's go ahead and pop this over here. And then see how we like it. Okay. Let's go ahead. Thank you, Mr. Neil.
You're welcome. Have a good one.
Thank you. Okay, friends. Sorry about that. I did not know that our pest control guy was coming today. I tell you what, lately, okay, friends, we are in Mercury Retrograde. So lately, everything that I have planned and or wanted to do has kind of been a little bit wonky. So, all right, not feeling like I love what we've got here 100% yet. Not feeling it yet. Now I could take the die and die cut it out. There's a coordinating die that goes along with this. That's easy to cut out. Where's the die? Right here. However, I want to get a little bit more of a closer shave here. So I'm going to come in a little bit tighter so that these actually look like they were just little watercolored oranges. Cheryl, I haven't invested anything because I want to have as much info. I totally get that. Totally get that. So here's the thing about art supplies that I want to share. And I hope that friends, that you all feel this way because you've watched me use different things on this channel. And I'm always conscious of, you don't need every single thing that's out there. I am not one of those people who are like, I have to have every color in a medium. All right, I'm starting to like these. Now that I've cut them out, I'm starting to like them. Tanya, yep, anything I try to do right now goes wrong. Yeah, I feel you. So I want to just be conscientious and mindful of the fact that I try to focus on this channel on technique versus product. If that makes sense. Now, I have different products, so I like to bring them in and kind of expose you to them and share them with you so that you can see the differences, like especially these watercolor crayons and things like that. You can see the differences, and then I try to bring out the little nuances of what makes them different so that, yeah, you can make an informed decision of what you want. But most of the time, friends, you all share with me, like, I have this version of the brand, and or like the Tim Holtz or this or that. And I'm like, yeah. We can get all of those out and you can play with them. You can do these techniques with them. Debbie, you suffer. That's it. I couldn't think of the word. Debbie said she suffers from full set syndrome. I don't suffer from that. Because I like to color mix, and I think and I like to experiment and be like, okay, well, what will I have these two colors. What will happen if I mix them, right? So I don't suffer from that syndrome, especially with stamping inks. Like, I only have Gina K, and I have some distress inks, but I don't suffer from, I need all of the big pads, and I need all of the little pads, and I need every color in the line, and I need this brand and that brand. I don't suffer from that anymore, I'll say. At one point I did. I wanted to have all the things. All right, so I'm kind of digging the way these look now as embellishments now that they're popped out. Oh, Tanya bought the tea caddy set, the tea set. I haven't played with it yet. Get it out and play with it. All right, let's bring in, I've got in the navy card base. I'm looking at the time to make sure because I had like some interruptions, so that kind of threw me a little bit. I've got a piece of watercolor cardstock. And then remember our inspiration. Cheryl said, I do want full sets, but my budget won't allow. This is the inspiration. So I'm going to kind of just nest these around and see how I'm feeling about them. I kind of like them. I'm kind of liking the embellishments. They definitely have a really washy watercolor vibe to them. I don't love this one, and I think it's going to bother me a little bit. Let's see if... So here's our sample. You can see how lovely it looks when you're doing just... I think I can cover up the parts that I don't like, but I really kind of like that washy look to it. I'm digging that. And then what it makes me want to do is I want to create a little bit of contrast underneath. So I thought about this, like, do we just want this to be kind of plain, or do we just want to do a little bit of a washy background? Let's do a little bit of a washy background. Let's grab one of the beautiful blues and do a little bit of a washy background. Okay, let's take a look at the colors. I don't know that let's see, we got Prussian blue, cerulean blue, here's phthalo turquoise, phthalo blue. Phthalo blue is always going to be the color I gravitate towards. So we're going to use this crayon this way. And I'm going to do a little bit of wet into wet. I'm going to wet down. There's just this whole, no. Friends, it is a day, let me tell you. The cat is trying to get up here. Let's take and drop a little bit of that color in. No. Back. Too much stuff on the table, little man. Just come across with a little bit of that color. Yes, Judy, thank you for that advice. Step back. Things look good from a distance. Things often look better from a distance. Okay, so you see me tipping my brush in and just grabbing a little bit of that color. Phthalo blue. Love it. So now I'm just kind of using it very much like you would a tube paint or a pan. Brushing my brush over it. And now we're going to dry it. Now, last week when we used the Caran d'Ache watercolor crayons, when you dried it, the color didn't really fade back, right? Like it would a watercolor. This is going to fade back, so it may seem super vibrant and fade back in its value. So let's go ahead. And then you can see the, see what I just did? Touched it. Okay, touched it, faded back in its value. Liking it, like the way it looks. Just double checking some things. Oh boy. Like the way it looks. Very pretty. Now let's go ahead and pop these oranges on it. I think this orange is going to be the one that's going to bother me. Let's see if I could add just a little bit of color. I'll tell you what, friends. Oh my goodness. All right, I'm pulling away. I just went in and took, that's another beautiful thing about working with watercolor. You're able to reanimate that color and kind of take out some of the bits that you don't like. So see how I'm just running my brush over some of these little bits, improving its look. Kind of liking it. Now I feel like I can live with it. You know what? We don't always like what we create. And that's part of like the going live part is not, yeah, Shirley, overthinking it. I am definitely overthinking it. And I usually don't overthink anything. I usually just go with it. So that's part of the going live and having experiments. Let's go ahead and dry it. Burn my finger. And then just going in. Let's get some foam squares and let's do it. Raise your hand, friends, if you overthink your stamp projects. Oh yeah, that happens. I think I want this one to kind of be like this. Let's just go ahead and put some foam dots on the back. It's just been a wild week and it's only Tuesday. And it's only Tuesday. I also think like sometimes we get hung up. I know I do. You can share in the comments if you do too. Get a little bit hung up on the way you think something should look. And believe me, some things don't look great, and I end up scrapping them and I start over, or I just am not enjoying the experience of what I'm making, so I'm just like, ugh, I'm just going to quit this one and start something new. And that's perfectly cool too. Stick your finger in your water. Thanks, Tanya. Oh, that's great advice, Cheryl. Walk away for a while. I feel that way too, like sometimes with paintings. Just walk away from it for a while. See how you're feeling. It's very interesting how our mood... Now, see, I'm starting to dig it. How our mood affects, like, the way we look. I'm starting to dig the whole composition of it now because I got that blue back there. Kind of liking it. Kind of liking that feel. It's definitely got this rustic kind of look to it that I didn't anticipate was going to happen. Oh boy, Daisy, gremlins are playing with the internet today. Friends, yeah, I don't even know what to say about the internet lately. If the feed is going in and out, I'm sorry. It says it's strong, but I have been on calls and things lately where my internet says it's like super duper strong and there shouldn't be any flaws in the system, and yet I'm frozen, or the person on the other side is frozen, you know? So I really don't. All I can say is Mercury Retrograde. Weird things are happening. Communication is difficult. All right, I am starting to like the way this came out. Oh, it's totally yours, Daisy? I thought it was mine earlier. Poor Mr. Neal. I had no idea he was coming. So he comes once a quarter, and I don't always write it down when he's coming. But it makes sense that he was coming today because he always comes on a Tuesday. All right, I'm kind of liking this. This has this late summer kind of rustic kind of look to it. So I'm kind of really digging it. And it makes me want to, where are we in time? Let's take a peek. I have so many little bits and bobbles and pieces that I had stamped. It makes me want to grab a few things and experiment with some backgrounds. So I want to share with you, these were all from the release. Like, I stamped a bunch of things, and then like you could take and bring in this kind of piece. Now this was stamped in STENCIL. And then you get a little bit of that contrast with this really washy watercolory look and this stamped and stenciled look. And that could work. But I want to experiment a little bit with these pieces since I have them. And this is not, I didn't plan this. Totally didn't plan this concept. So, but it's here and let's play with it. So one of the dies in the coordinating die set is this piece right here. And that's the Mediterranean tile piece. The stamp looks like this. Let's get that. The stamp looks like that. And then you also have the ability to do a little stenciling in it. However, the die, when the die cuts, you get all of these pieces. And I used it in a sample on the release night and cut out all the pieces and kind of use them in the background. And I think that these three pieces right here are going to be really, really fun. At least in my brain, I think they are. To just kind of nest them in the background here. Just add a little something to them. I could add a little watercolor to them if I wanted to. But I'm not going to. I think I'm going to do a little composition that kind of looks like that. Maybe bring this up over here. Gives me a little bit of room for a sentiment, but I'm going to go sentiment free. I could pop this one up there, but I feel like these two are a little bit out of place. But look at that. how they nest into each other. Hi, Jennifer. No worries. This Jennifer friend, if you've missed most of the live, you've missed most of the crazy because it's been wild. Techie issues. Pest control guy showed up. Forgot that he was coming or didn't remember or didn't know. One or the other. Had to pause for a minute so that I could pay him. You know, all the things. All right, I'm kind of liking this little composition here of 3. Let's just commit. We're going to pop a little bit of glue. Let's see, what do we got going here? My glue, I checked it out before glue. I need a needle for my glue. All right, I checked this out right before we went live, but you know, we're gonna be a troublesome thing today. Glue is just gonna be gluey and not come out. And I need to get one of those little needles to help it along. So we're not gonna use the glue. And I already tried this one. This one wasn't working either. I need to clean my nozzles. So we're just going to use our little adhesive. Put a little adhesive on the bottom and pop these little die cuts down. Kind of digging it. All right, friends, tell me in the chat if you think this card has kind of gone off the rails a little bit based on what I thought it might look like in my head, but that's okay. Practice makes better. And, you know, I don't know about, like, what does better mean for card making. Because, again, I shared this last week. All right, I'm digging the way that looks. Like, I like the process of making something. That is where I find the most joy versus the outcome. So the process and the experiment is what I really, really enjoy. I'd love to know what you think. Love to know what you think. Is it the process that you like to do that brings you the joy in the card making project? Or is it the end result? I'd love to hear. Okay. I'm going to take, because these were watercolor, I'm going to take a wet brush and I'm going to come in. Darlene just shared she loved this card. I'm going to come in and lift some color up and away. And I might take just a little bit of color and tap, tap, tap some back in. Now that it's on here, I kind of want to add a little bit of shadow and light, like right there. Yeet. I like it. I'm digging it. I'm digging it. This has, okay, friends, on Instagram, there is there's an account I follow. I think it's called Cooking with Fiona. And this beautiful Italian woman, and she makes a lot of pastas and stuff, and I follow her account. This has like this whole vibe of what her cooking space looks like. Very, very citrusy and Mediterranean and just kind of fun. It's fun. I'm digging it. I'm digging the way this came out. I'm going to go sentiment free. I feel like I want to do a little bit of splatter. But splatter could go either way. Let's do it. Let's do it. We're going to finish out the tutorial. The madness of this tutorial today. The craziness with a little bit of splatter with some phthalo blue. I'm going to lift up quite a bit of it. Get quite a bit of it just right. See how I'm just running my brush right over the pigment? Look at that. That's intense. I'm going to try to concentrate. I'm going to dip my brush in the water. Try to concentrate some of the splatter just right up here. Flip. And a little bit. Come on. Come on. Right there. Just the tiniest bit of splatter to add a little bit of extra I want to wipe that phthalo blue because it's pretty staining, to add just a little bit of extra to it. Okay. Let's close that up. All right, I'm digging the way it came out. It definitely has a washy watercolor vibe to it. Here's what our stamp looks like. Kind of fun. It definitely is a little bit different than what I thought it was going to be in my head, but that's okay. I really think this is kind of a fun card. This would be a fun tag too, like in the summer, or like if you're, think about it, like if you're making something with oranges in it or citrusy, it would just be fun. All right, I'm digging the way this came out. I'm digging the way it came out. Didn't think I was going to. It was a little bit of a rough go, right? A little bit of a rough go, and sorry for the interruption. But hey, super, super fun. And again, I like to approach these projects as experiments and just like seeing where it might take us versus me practicing something and sharing it with you in its most beautiful state. Because it doesn't always work that way. Whenever I'm working on a project, sometimes it just doesn't get there until it gets there. Or sometimes it doesn't get there at all. And again, that's all perception. Like, you might perceive that, but others might get this and be like, my gosh, that's beautiful. My gosh, that's just stunning. I can't believe she sent me that card. So, you know, perception, right? Okay, friends. I hope that you enjoyed today's chaotic tutorial. And I'll be back Thursday with a brand new painting tutorial. If you're on my email list, I sent out yesterday the link for when Thursday's live, and I also sent out the link for the download so that you can paint along. You do not need to use watercolor crayons for the paint along. You can use whatever you have in your stash. I'm just going to be sharing, again, the Daniel Smith watercolor sticks. My daughter is going to be joining us. We're going to paint together, and we're going to paint blooming poppies. So that is in the download. Also, if you go to the tutorial on my channel, the tutorial is already scheduled. If you go to the description, all of the information is there as well for the download. So, thank you, Tanya. Yes, it's a good reminder to just play and see where things take you and experiment. Because again, that's the whole concept behind Craft Your Joy, is not to get somewhere in your project that feels like it's forced, or feels like you're just trying to copy something else, or feels like you're just going through the motions. I am always thinking about, like, let's learn some techniques together and let's experiment with different things and see where it takes us, right? A little adventure. Okay, friends, thanks so much for joining me today. You know, the lives have been a little chaotic lately. So we'll be back on Thursday with a brand new painting tutorial using the Daniel Smith watercolor sticks again. And I can't wait to see you all then. I can't wait to see you on Thursday. So, okay, friends, thanks so much. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you on Thursday. Bye now.